G'day guys and welcome to the Centre Bounce, where today I'll be talking about Matt Crouch, putting him under the spotlight. Let's go. Yes, it is Matt Crouch, another one of those interesting price players, this time in the midfield, and people talking about him. People talking about him and saying this guy presents genuine value in your midfield. And you know what? They might have a point. Let's have a look and see Matt Crouch, because he has done it before. He has scored really well. And you can look, we're back here on DFS Australia on your Morts. And let's just have a look historically at this guy's scoring from his third year on in 2016. He's gone 91, 112, 101, 103, 110, 90, and 97.6 last year. Impressive stuff. Very good. And for his price, under 500,000, if we can get a 110 out of him, that could put him at M8 territory for under $500,000. That is remarkable, dare I say. You know what I mean? So there is clearly value there if he can play the role that he needs to play. What's his role? Well, you can sort of see here right here. He is a high CBA percentage type of player. He's meant to be in the guts, getting his contested possessions for us. Okay. If he can do that, that is the type of scoring we can see from him. Now, he hasn't played much AFL football at all last year. If we look at it, his one game before the final stint was a game where he was the sub in round 8. He only had 39% time on ground, and in it he had 38% CBA attendances, really, and he had 12 disposals, 2 kicks, and 10 handballs. That's the sort of player he is. Everyone else that we've spoken about thus far in this Spotlight series, we've wanted to see a lot of kick to handballs compared to handballs. We want a high kick to handball ratio because they were outside players who really required to have great kicks, intercept marks, kicking the ball outside 50 to really get their points going. Whereas in this situation, this is the first time that we've got a true contested ball under the spotlight. And in those circumstances, it really is quite simply unrealistic to have to want to expect or hope that we can have a lot of kicks to handballs. When you're at the coalface trying to win a hard ball, what you want is not a hack kick forward to be a turnover. You would much prefer them to win the contested ball, get that handball to a person next to them running past them, and actually be clean with the football so that we can get points and not be penalized for turnovers and clangers and have ineffective disposals where we really don't get any points for those. In this circumstance, Matt Crouch does it correctly. He is a handballing type of player. We don't want him to hack the ball around the corner to give us bad turnovers, which is negative points. We don't want negative points. We want only more points all the time. And we can look at that. Disposal efficiency, 91, 91, 81, 88. Yes, he had a 77 here, which is not too bad compared to Zach Fisher, who gets that a lot, an 87% efficiency. So over the course of these 6 games, 77% is his worst. And that is a good flaw to have, in my opinion. So let's have a look. His CBAs, 84% of CBAs. That is the lion's share of centre bounce attendances in this game. He had 9 tackles. Excellent. You love to see it. 91% efficiency, 22 disposals, which is fairly decent. Let's have a look at that heat map, please. You know, that's what we're here for. Bang, look at that. That is a center bounce merchant right there. That is an in and under player if I have ever seen one. Heat map right there in the middle of the ground. Um, let's have a look. Who else? What else happened in that game against Melbourne? Playing at the G. Narrow loss. Very close one. Let's sort by Supercoach points, please. Rankin with a 115, had 3 goals, 3 behinds. Dawson with a 115. Schoenberg with a 107. Hinge with a 105. Ben Keys 97 and Tex 91. So there's quite a few people ahead of Matt Crouch in this game, who was all the way down here with an 86. So I would like. Now, this is the first time we're going to feature this feature in the Spotlight series, and that is now because we're talking about inside mid, talking about a midfielder. We need to go back here to the AFL page on DFS Australia and come down here to center bounce attendances. This is what we want to talk about because we're talking about an inside mid. Now, Adelaide's already selected because Adelaide starts with A, the first team. All right. Now, this will give us a breakdown round by round of what the centre bounces look like. Now, against Melbourne, obviously Rob was the ruck. He's in there. Rory Laird had no CBAs in this game. Dawson, because he didn't even play. This was a Rory Laird-less game. No Rory Laird in this game. Dawson had 84%. Matt Crouch had 84% in that game. So you can see right off the bat, his first game in a long time, he's been chucked into the CBAs equal with Jordan Dawson. Ahead of Sloan, ahead of Schomburg, who occasionally had some fleeting moments in there, especially towards the back end, like Crouch. However, if you want to pick a value player, especially in the midfield, you need to make sure that they are getting a lot of center bounces. Now, I'm not saying that because this is the Center Bounce YouTube channel. I'm saying that because if you are in that center bounce rotation, it means that you can be on the receiving end of the ball more often than not. Every time there is a goal kicked, you go back into the middle of the ground for another center bounce. You can get contested possessions that way, which net you more points compared to if your disposals are uncontested in nature. You also can get more tackles because in the center bounce, it's a set structure, it's a set fixture. You're there in the middle of the ground, the ball is up. Even if you don't get the ball then and there in the first instance, you can still tackle someone. And if you get a free kick for holding the ball, that's also extra points that you're getting, not only for the tackle, but also for the free fall. So being in the middle of the ground and a center bounce gives you a lot of opportunities to score points compared to someone on a wing that can't directly impact it immediately right off the bat. Every time you reset, if you are the number one rotation in there, very often you're going to have more chances to net yourself more points. And the great thing about what we're seeing here from Matt Crouch is he's getting decent amount of CBAs every week since his return. He had a little drop in CBAs. Rory Laird was back that week. However, there was also a drop across the board to the other midfielders. So it wasn't just Crouch. Crouch was still up there as the third midfielder, because you had Dawson was number 1, Laird was number 2, Crouch was number 3, very close behind. Next game, Dawson dropped a lot in CBAs. Crouch dropped a little bit in CBAs. Rory Laird went up. In this case, Crouch was the second midfielder in that rotation. Laird number 1, Crouch number 2. Against Brisbane, they both had 78%, and Crouch was right on the heel with 72. This one was definitely a massive drop-off here compared to them. However, we still can't take away from the fact that they were both equal in CBAs, and he was there. So this trio of Laird, Dawson, and Crouch seem to be the mainstay trio for the back half for these last few games, these last 6 games, which is really promising that They brought him back in and they chucked him exactly where he's meant to be, and he scored accordingly. Okay, we go back to his scores over here. He gave us an average of 108 over the course of those 6 games. Now we need him to play in the midfield. Is he playing in the midfield? Is he training with the mid still? Has anything happened at Adelaide? Massive shout out once again to the Fantasy Tech TV boys and their Discord channel, which is awesome. George, the creator of Fantasy Tech TV, is a diehard Crows fan. Gave us a little screenshot from a training report about it, and it does show that Crouch is playing in the midfield. Keys was exclusively playing at forward. There was a period of time last year where Ben Keys was playing in the midfield. A lot of people jumped on him last year once he got that midfield role. However, he eventually lost it, and Crouch came in and was primarily on the ball. So Keys was exclusively forward. We're not going to see Keys going through that midfield, which is great. The mids consisted of Laird, Crouch, Dawson. Again, first 3 names right there named Laird, Crouch, and Dawson. The same names that we saw in the CBAs at the back for the last 6 games of the season. It was always Laird, Dawson, Crouch. Laird, Dawson, Crouch. It's these 3. And that's what it looks like it's going to continue to be. So that's really good to see. Again, some further discussions over here. George is very confident that Crouch will be in the first rotation in the CBA order. It's going to be Laird, Crouch, and Dawson, Russian Pedler. Schoenberg is out for the season with an Achilles injury, and it seems that in his mind that Berry can't really fit with Laird and Crouch, and Keys is at half forward. So these are all very positive signs for Matt Crouch that he's going to be continuing to play in the guts in that first rotation in the midfield, which is wonderful because we could end up, look at this, at 144 against Port Adelaide. He had 32 disposals, 91 efficiency, which is awesome. He got 5 free kicks that game. And that's another thing that could go your way playing inside the centre balances so often. You could be first to the ball and get free kicks for high tackles in the backs, out of the middle, kick the ball forward, someone takes a mark, and all of a sudden you get extra points for score assists. So there are so many benefits to being a centre bounce midfielder. And he's got a 144 there. Let's have a look at that heat map. And there you go. It wasn't just middle of the ground. It was all of the stoppages, all of the play between the arcs. He is being involved in all of it. And that is beautiful. That is a great thing to see. At 91% efficiency as well. So he is not mucking about. Let's have a closer look at the statistics here in this game. Who popped off? Tex Walker popped off. He had 7 goals, 4, if you don't mind. No surprise there. And that might be part of the reason why Matt Crouch scored so well, even though his time on ground was only 78. So look what he was capable of. He had less time on ground than all these guys until it gets to Lockie Murphy. He had less time on ground than all these people and still scored a 144. You would imagine that a major part of this has got to be that when he's kicking the ball inside 50, he's given it to Tex, who's kicking goals. So a lot of these disposals that he's getting aren't like the halfbacks that we've spoken about, where they kick the ball out of the back line to a midfielder. That's not going to lead to a direct score assist. It might be a scoring chain that you've initiated. However, it is not a direct score assist like what Matt Crouch probably got from this game. Kicking the ball to Tex converts, and it doesn't have to be a goal. If it's a goal or a behind, it's a score assist, not a goal assist. You get extra points. If your disposal, your pass leads to a score, you get extra points for that. And that is probably what happened here with Matt Crouch. Even though he gave away 2 free kicks in this game, he still ended up on a 144. So that is sensational. Really, really keen to see more of that. let's see. Against the Gold Coast Suns, what's happened in this game? He had 31 disposals. You love to see it. 81%, 7 tackles. He got the goal himself. He only had the 62% CBAs, but he still scored 112, which is great. This was a win at Adelaide Oval, playing at home. Let's sort that out. Sort these ones as well. And it just seems to be across the board, it was definitely a safe Adelaide win. And you can tell from how many people they got over 100 compared to Gold Coast. It only had the one player crack the ton, Big Witsy, with all of his hitouts. So Hinge was the number one scorer. Probably took a few intercept marks in order to get to that point. Darcy Fogarty, the key forward, 3 goals, 2 behinds, pretty decent. Matt Crouch, number one midfielder score for Adelaide in that game. And that's part of what I like to see by coming to here. I like to see and compare how he did to the others. So he was the number one scoring mid for Adelaide in this game. He even did better than Rob, who scored 105, probably just beaten out by Wits on the day. And look at Laird, 93, Dawson, 89. Where was Dawson playing in that game? Let's have a look. Dawson was playing in the midfield as well. So, again, just because Dawson's there, just because Laird is there, doesn't mean that Crouch won't score really well. Crouch, as long as you give Crouch the CBAs, he will continue to score really well. So, as long as Crouch is in there, that's sensational. What's happening in this game? Against Brisbane, 122 against Brisbane is no easy feat. However, at this point of the season, there was no Ashcroft, and I think people were saying that Dunkley was playing a bit under the crowd. I think he had a calf injury, and so he wasn't playing at his best. Plus, this was at the Gabba. Still, despite no Ashcroft, despite the injury cloud over Dunkley, if you believe it or not, still, to come down by a goal at the Gabba, the Brisbane Lions are nigh unbeatable there, and for him to have been the number one scorer off of 73% time on ground is sensational. Hugh McCluggage, on the other hand, he had 2 goals to go with his 28 disposals. Matt Crouch, 33 disposals, 3 months, 5 tackles. Like, that is really good. This is really good output, and he's pushing forward. The Gabbers are really weird dimensions, but you can see here a lot of disposals around the middle of the ground. He's fighting tooth and nail. He fights tooth and nail for his position in that team. He doesn't take it for granted because he's missed so much football during the course of the season. So he's back in and he's just giving it his all. He's enjoying his second, he's almost got a new lease on life. And if it looks like he's going to start in the guts like he's done in the past and like what he did to end the season, then that is really exciting because as we can see, he's done it before where he's capable of scoring 110, 111. If he can give us 110 average, that is as top 8 to 10 defender, midfielder. I mean, that's a top 8 to 10 mid at 110, and we can pick him to be a keeper for the entire season for $490,000 for under $500K. This guy could be a keeper for us, which is sensational. And when we look at the buy structure, let me just sort of pull it up. Oh, sorry about that. This is a bit of a terrible photo here, but Adelaide have the round 0 buy, which means that they've got only one buy during the course of the season proper, and it is in round 15, the last buy. So he's going to play every single week, barring injury, of course, and suspension. He's going to be playing every week up until round 15, the last buy, which by that point in time, hopefully, you'd be just about full primo. You should be full primo by this point. So to get to here with a full primo team, you'd have a best 18, basically, of all premiums. So that is really impressive. And if you decide to trade him out at that point to flip him using a luxury trade for someone else to maybe get a leg up perhaps, then that's your prerogative. But he is capable of doing some incredible things. And for $490K, he genuinely could be a keeper. And so for that, I give him a thumbs up that you don't have to discount him. You can start him in your side if you would like to. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, my discussion of Matt Crouch under the spotlight comes to a close. Let me know in the comment down below if I've convinced you, if you have any other misgivings, any questions that you've got about Matt Crouch. Did I convince you? Not? Maybe not. Tell me why. Any other players you'd like for me to discuss as well, please leave them down in the comments. Definitely happy to take any and all suggestions, more players on the horizon to continue to talk and give you my opinion and apply my process, my reasoning behind which picks are viable and which are not. If you're new here, please, a subscription would greatly help the growth of our channel, which we're really enjoying thanks to you guys. Hit that notification bell because we are popping off with content all the time, almost as many videos as days that this game has been open. And we'd love for you to come along and join us for the ride so that we can both, all of us, build the best possible teams that we can make and win Supercoach in 2024. So guys, remember, here at the Centre Bounce, we do the hard work so that you don't have to. Bye for now, and I'll see you all